I can't believe the absolute cringe storm that his Twitter has become. Hey, finance fam, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to react to some insane tweets from Robert Kiyosaki. We're going to break down what's insane about them and how much money you potentially would have lost or not made by following his advice. I actually got into doing good things with my money from the Robert Kiyosaki cash flow game when I was 16 years old. I was playing this game with my boyfriend at the time, Chris. So Robert Kiyosaki had a lot to do with me getting into money and finance. With that said, I can't believe the absolute cringe storm that his Twitter has become. Robert tweets, warnings ignored, prediction dissed. In 2002, Rich Dad's prophecy warned the biggest stock market crash in history around 2016, destroying the world economy due to fake money, corrupt bankers, and greedy leaders. Some of that is true, right? Wish I was wrong. Crisis, not an accident. We all know that there's tons of greed out there, definitely not denying that fact. But what he was saying here is in 2002, he predicted the biggest stock market crash in history was going to come around 2016. So let's take a look at how the stock market has performed since 2002 and since 2016. So since 2002, just for, fun, the stock market measured by the S&P 500 is up over 300%. And then since 2016, the stock market is up roughly 120%, give or take, since 2016. So if you would have listened to Robert Kiyosaki, basically you would have missed out on doubling your money in that time. Here's another one. The everything crash is coming. This was tweeted in October 2020. So things were pretty bad. Sentiment was pretty bad in 2020. The everything crash is coming. Since 1987, world has been in everything bubble. Now all crashing. Prices of gold, silver, Bitcoin will crash too, which is surprising because he's actually a silver bug and he's a Bitcoin fan. So he's basically saying here that everything is going to crash. The US dollar to rise, be patient, massive money printing ahead, eventually destroying the dollar. Time to buy more gold, silver, Bitcoin coming. So let's take a look at how assets have performed since this tweet, the majors that he basically mentioned. Bitcoin is up since then over 120%. The S&P 500 is up over 30%, 36%. Gold, measured by gold futures, almost 2%. And silver's down 3% roughly since he tweeted this. So assets actually, have done not too bad. I would say gold and silver have been lagging, which is very explainable because of the way things have kind of turned in the economy. The economy hasn't died. We haven't seen a major recession yet. Like Robert Kiyosaki has kind of been warning people for years and years and years and years and years. So it looks like if you would have listened to him back then and thought that the sky was falling, you would have missed out on some gains in Bitcoin and, equities in particular. Gold and silver tend to do better when the sky is actually falling, right? You have to see things like the 2008 financial crisis or inflation spiking significantly. We did see gold perform pretty well in the beginning of the pandemic. You can actually see this on Koifen when the 2020 sell-off hit. It hit all major asset classes, but gold kind of held up pretty well. And you can see that the S&P 500 was kind of the laggard in that time period because technically when there's a lot of fear in the streets, that's when gold and silver can shine. But unfortunately, the sky didn't fall and unemployment rates are still incredibly low. And the economy kind of chugged along because of fiscal spending, of course, stimulus. We know that now. But the fact of the matter is, if you would have been listening to that fear, you would have missed out on a lot of gains. Another tweet. Many of you know I do not invest in equities, bonds, ETFs, which I think he meant to say ETFs for exchange traded funds, or mutual funds is what he means by MFs. Please do not listen to what I'm going to say next. Which of course he wants you to listen if he's going to tweet it out, but whatever. I would get out of paper assets. The world economy is not a market. I believe economy is the biggest bubble in world history. God have mercy on us all. Where does one even begin? So essentially, this man is saying, since 2016 that this big market crash is coming. Definitely came. We had 2020 where there was a crash in the stock market, but it was very, very sharp, very quick, and it didn't last long. And not to mention, a bear is always going to be right eventually because the stock market is cyclical, and everybody knows this. The stock market goes up and the stock market goes down because we have a cyclical economy. A bear is always going to be right eventually. People that take what he says to heart and believe that the sky is going to fall and they don't invest because of that, and especially not investing in things like stocks and bonds and buying your ETFs, your index funds, I think that you can end up really messing up your wealth by following this kind of advice. Gold and silver is not going to cut it, Robert tweets. Best investment, cans of tuna fish. No, Robert, no. Inflation about to take off. Best investments are cans of tuna and baked beans. You can't eat gold, silver, or Bitcoin. Okay, you can eat cans of tuna and and baked beans. He's correct. That is true. Food most important. Starvation next problem. Invest in the solution. Take care. Investing in the solution, it sounds more like hoarding the solution to me, but whatever. I'm all about prepping. I mean, after seeing what happened with the pandemic, I'm all about having a little bit of extra this, a little bit of extra that, just in case something goes down. But this is definitely fear porn to the max. Back to the tuna fish. June 2022, he states inflation about to take off. He's feeding you this bear porn about how things are so bad that you need to be investing in tuna fish cans. June 13th, we were looking at inflation peaking. So inflation peaked July 4th. So basically he tweeted this right as inflation was peaking, and inflation has come down significantly since then. So, inflation had already taken off at that point, and he was a bit behind the ball here. If you would have listened to him again and thought that everything was going to die, then you'd be in some trouble and you'd be missing out on some returns. Robert tweets, warning, inflation may lead to greater depression. Real estate crashing. Foreclosures up 700% from last year. Layoffs starting. Dominoes falling. Is your work or company you work for vital to economy? Are you necessary? If you are, you will do well. Take care. The drama. This was tweeted July 2022. As we all know, because we're all in tune with the real estate market these days, real estate prices have not budged in the way that people thought they were going to. Maybe in like the major cities like Austin, San Francisco, etc. But other than that, real estate prices have been stubbornly high. In fact, they started to tick back up. Real estate is not crashing. We are not in a depression. We're not even in a recession yet. We're trying to get to recession. That's what we're trying to get to and still haven't gotten to it. What he is correct about here is the layoffs. There absolutely have been layoffs, but the unemployment rate is at historic lows. There are more jobs than people unemployed to fill the jobs. That's been the whole problem with the stock market and the Fed trying to lower inflation and interest rates rising, and they've been trying to slow the economy, and they have in certain areas, especially real estate, but prices aren't budging. So, it really grinds my gears when people talk like this, leading to the Greater Depression, things like that, when the data doesn't support this in any way, shape, or form. And it frustrates me because people believe it and they refrain from investing because of it, because this man has 2.4 million followers. That's a lot of people that are watching him and listening to him and believing what he's saying potentially. And I've read through the comments, and there are people that eat up what he has to feed them. I respect Robert Kiyosaki because he's the person who got me into finance and investing at such a young age, thinking about it via that cash flow game. But I cannot get down with the doom and gloom tone of a lot of these tweets. And the reason is incredibly clear. He is a known silver pusher. He tells everybody to buy metals, especially silver. He thinks it's like the best value you can get out there. And look at how silver has performed compared to the S&P 500 historically. Okay, silver has had a period of outperformance, but that was during the 2008 financial crisis here, and it didn't last long. I think silver and gold make great diversifiers in a portfolio, but you don't want to own a ton of it. You want the bulk of your wealth to be invested in assets that actually appreciate, like stocks. Down here at the bottom, I've got the growth of $10,000 from the S&P 500 versus silver. And I mean, just the S&P 500 blows silver out of the water. Even if we end up zooming in, since 2010 or even since 2008, you can see that the S&P 500 basically is going to make you a lot more money being invested in it than silver. Not only historically, we've seen this historically, but also in recent history as well, where the S&P 500, aka stocks, is going to be a much better performer for your wealth to actually multiply. Again, this isn't a knock on metals. I have silver and gold in the portfolio, but it's not a lot. It's just a little bit, because silver and gold are going to perform best during those harder times, but those harder times are fewer and farther between than the bullish times, the strong times, the good economy times, right? So if you look historically, we're usually in a bull market more than we are in a bear market. There were literally so many tweets to choose from for this video. So if you want to see a part 2, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you like this style of video, if you like kind of hearing my perspective on some of these colorful opinions on Twitter. Today, I used Koyfin for my research. Go into the description below to get the link to 10% off of Koyfin for a year. Give me a thumbs up, please. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.